It was a day filled with an unsettling stillness at the estate of the Westbrook family. The old clock in the corner of the study ticked away relentlessly, echoing through the silence, marking the passing of time that felt far too heavy for Mia Carter. She sat at a grand, polished mahogany table, her fingertips nervously tracing the edges of the divorce papers lying before her. Her heart raced as her eyes blurred with tears, threatening to spill over. "Sign it." The voice was commanding, void of warmth or empathy. Mia glanced up at the woman sitting across from her, Evelyn Westbrook, the matriarch of the prestigious Westbrook dynasty. Her perfectly coiffed silver hair and elegant black gown exuded an almost impervious authority. Her pearls sparkled under the study's dim light, but there was nothing gentle about her gaze, only cold judgment. "You've embarrassed this family for far too long." Evelyn spoke slowly, her voice smooth but biting. "It's time for you to leave, quietly, with whatever dignity you still have left." Mia's chest tightened, her pulse loud in her ears. She had thought she knew what love was 2 years ago when she met Benjamin Westbrook. Handsome, charismatic, and ambitious, he had swept her off her feet. He had been different then, passionate and rebellious, willing to defy his family's expectations. Or so she believed. When Benjamin first brought Mia, a woman from a humble background, into the lavish Westbrook mansion, she felt the weight of the matriarch's gaze. Evelyn's icy smile was a silent warning. "A woman like you will never fit into our world," she had whispered privately that night. But Mia had tried. She had endured the whispers, the stares at social events, the subtle jabs at her appearance and background. She stayed because she believed in Benjamin. She loved him enough to overlook everything. But now that love seemed distant. "Mia." Benjamin's voice cut through her thoughts. She turned toward him, her heart aching for any sign of the man she once knew. He stood by the tall window, hands shoved into his pockets, his suit impeccable. But his face was cold, his gaze hard as stone. "Don't look at me like that," he snapped, his voice sharp. "You made this more difficult than it ever had to be." Mia's breath caught in her throat. "Difficult? How could this be more difficult? I gave up everything for you. My life, my friends, my family. I thought we were building something real together." Benjamin scoffed. "You thought this marriage would solve all your problems, didn't you? You clung to me because you believed I could fix your life." His words stung more than any slap could. Evelyn leaned in, her voice low but venomous. "You were never meant to be part of this family, Mia. You don't belong here. Sign the papers, and we'll give you enough to start over, far away from this place." Mia stared down at the pen in her hand, the weight of it heavy in her fingers. The choice was devastating. Sign the papers, and she lost everything. The man she loved, the life she dreamed of. But if she didn't? She looked up one last time at Benjamin. "Do you really want this?" His eyes hardened. "You're not the person I thought you were. Maybe my mother was right all along." The words hit her like a dagger. Tears fell freely, staining her blouse. Her hands trembled as she picked up the pen, the room closing in around her. "They want to erase me as if I never mattered. But I'll show them," a quiet voice whispered deep inside her. With a final breath, Mia signed her name. Evelyn's lips curled into a faint smile, satisfied. "Good girl. Now pack your things. Someone will escort you out." Mia stood, her legs unsteady beneath her. She glanced back at Benjamin, her heart breaking at the sight of him standing there, unmoving, indifferent. That was the last image she had of the man she loved before leaving the Westbrook estate. The cold night air greeted her as she stepped outside, wrapped in her coat, unsure of how she would survive. But what Evelyn didn't know, what none of them knew, was that Mia's strength came from something deeper, something she would soon discover about her own family. A secret so powerful that it would change everything. 2 years later. 2 years had passed since Mia walked away from the Westbrook mansion, the divorce papers still fresh in her mind, the sting of betrayal still raw. 2 years since Evelyn had looked at her with disdain, telling her she wasn't worthy. 2 years since Benjamin, the man she had loved so deeply, turned his back on her. But the woman approaching the Westbrook gates today was not the same woman who had left. This was a new Mia, a woman unrecognizable from her former self. The Westbrook Empire, once a symbol of wealth and power, was now faltering. Their investments had crumbled, and the once gilded name of Westbrook had become a warning whispered behind closed doors. Benjamin sat at the head of a long conference table, his suit flawless, but his eyes were hollow, his soul drained. Evelyn sat beside him, pearls around her neck, her grip tight on her teacup. "We need this deal," Evelyn said sharply, the urgency clear in her voice. "If Monroe Enterprises doesn't sign off, our legacy is over." Benjamin exhaled slowly. "They'll come. They have to." The double doors of the room opened, and silence swept through the room as a woman entered. She was Mia, but she was different. The fragile, tearful woman they once knew was gone. Mia wore a cream-colored suit, tailored perfectly to her frame, and her natural hair was styled in an elegant updo. Diamond studs glittered in her ears, and every step she took exuded confidence. Behind her, a tall, imposing man with silver hair entered, a presence so commanding it seemed to bend the very air around him. Evelyn's eyes widened. "Richard Monroe," she whispered. The man nodded curtly. "Good afternoon, Mrs. Westbrook." Benjamin paled. "You're her father?" "Yes," Richard replied calmly. "I'm Mia's father. I believe it's time we spoke." Evelyn's voice rose. "Why didn't you reveal yourself earlier? Why let your daughter marry into this family without telling us who you were?" Mia stepped forward, her voice steady. "Because I wanted to be accepted for who I was, not for what I had. But you chose to mock me, drive me out." She turned to Benjamin, her voice soft but filled with restrained anger. "And you stood by, letting them humiliate me. You believed I was nothing without you. But the truth is, you were nothing without me." Benjamin flinched. Richard placed a folder on the table. "I'm purchasing your company's debt. Effective immediately, Monroe Enterprises now holds controlling interest in Westbrook Industries." Evelyn's mouth dropped open. "You can't." "I can," Richard interrupted smoothly. "And I will. Don't worry. You'll remain on as advisors." Mia's gaze swept across the room, taking in the faces of her ex-husband and mother-in-law. "Consider it my way of making sure no one else suffers the way I did here." Benjamin stood abruptly, his face twisted with regret. "Mia, wait. I was wrong. I let my mother control me. I never stopped loving you." Mia's lips curled into a faint, sad smile. "Love doesn't remain silent when everything is falling apart, Benjamin. Love doesn't stand by and watch you drown." His voice cracked. "Please give me another chance." Mia shook her head. "Love isn't enough." Evelyn sneered. "You think you're better because of your father's money?" Mia calmly replied, "I'm better because I value hearts, not wealth." She left, pausing at the door. "Thank you." Later, she became CEO of Monroe Enterprises, proud and stronger than ever.